Have you ever thought about that the things deemed to be Western were originally from the East? Just like the Chinese style I used to take for granted, it's actually not 100% Chinese. On my trip to Yungang Grottoes in Datong, I noticed a kind of plant that shook my understandings of the world's civilisations. This is Lansing in China. My videos took you with me to explore the unseen Chinese artistry and craftsmanship. Continue watching, and I will explain to you the intricate journey of this most adventurous plant. We are now at Yungang Grottoes. It's one of the UNESCO sites. It was built during the 4th and 5th century when China was under the reign of the Northern Wei dynasty. It has over 50,000 different Buddhas and over 200 caves. What impressed me most here is the fusion of the Central and South Asian along with the Chinese traditional artistic style. The plant I mentioned earlier is actually a decorative pattern called the honeysuckle or acanthus. It was brought to China as a common decorative pattern when the Buddhism was introduced. Roughly 500 years after the birth of Gautama, Buddhism started spreading into China. And 400 years after that, the constructions of Yungang Grottoes started. In fact, one could say that India's early Buddhist art initially had elements of Greek art, as seen in the Buddhist sculptures and decorations with clear Greek influences in Gandhara's art. But wait, where did the ancient India get its impact? Actually, the story should be told from its starting point, the ancient Egypt. Around 3000 BCE, Egypt graced the world with the lotus pattern, a symbol of the radiant sun. Initially, it was probably a symbol design of papyrus, lotus, or lily. But as the upper and lower Egyptian kingdoms merged, it became a sign of unity or rebirth. The design eventually evolved into the palm tree, with the radiating leaves seeming to shine out from the center in a symbolic connection to the sun. Started from 700 BCE, the palmette motifs started showing up in ancient Greek through the trade between the countries. When half of the palm-shaped leaf is decorated at the angle of a scroll pattern, and its imagery is adapted to the curve of the scroll, the so-called acanthus pattern appears. Still looks a bit different. That's because between the palmette and acanthus pattern, the leaves went through multiple alterations over thousands of years. The acanthus leaf arises when the palmette is worked out plastically. People then began to call this form the acanthus leaf. In early times, it was not called by this name. And just as mentioned earlier, when the Roman Empire expanded its governance to the present-day Afghanistan and Pakistan areas in ancient India, such decorative motifs started impacting the development of Gandhara arts. A few centuries after that, it was painted by some Chinese artists on the wall of Yungang Grottoes. Those artists not only used it to split the sections of frescoes or decorate the edge, but also present it as the capital of the Greek-style columns, just like how it was used thousands of years ago. In the later 1,000 years, this pattern will be re-engineered by many generations of Chinese artists, with a more flowing attribute borrowed from the Chinese cloud pattern, which makes it to something new, which is known as the Chinese scroll grass pattern. And this is the story of the most intricate plant across the 5,000 years of time, reported from its new home, Yungang Grottoes.